Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Dalton Selectboard to order, please. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A and 20, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Dalton Select Board will be conducted via remote participation. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the open session portion of the meeting may do so by viewing on Dalton Community TV, channel 1301, or on our Zoom link that's on the agenda. No in-person or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the open session portion of the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive records of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, all those who are able, please stand for the pledge. And Mr. Boyle, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Brittany, will you please take the roll call?
Yes. Chair Robert Bishop.
Here.
Joseph Diver.
Here.
Mark Strout.
Here.
Don Boyle.
Here.
Dan Esco.
Here.
And our interim town manager, Sandra Albano.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. Okay, first on the agenda is the minutes of the February 25th, 2021.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes of February 25th, 2021.
It's a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Dan?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Bob, yes. Okay, this is a time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or any issue or matter of the town. If you intend on addressing the board at this time, we ask you to do the following. Use our Zoom link or dial 684-6111, extension 28. Please identify yourself by name, address, or the company/institution you represent. The public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Please address your comments to the board chair. Discussion or debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer questions on procedural matters. Please be cordial and respectful of others. If anyone wishes to be recognized when the board discusses an agenda item, please make that request at this time. The board chair may grant this request, address comments to the board chairs, and be concise. Is there anyone that would like to speak to any of the items listed on there? Dan, I got you there. You're on mute, Dan.
I want to thank the Select Board for allowing the Traffic Commission to attend their meeting. I thought it was important that they see the presentation. Should it be brought before the Traffic Commission, all the information that we can gather is very important when we make a decision if we're to make a recommendation. Individual members of the Traffic Commission may ask questions, but I want to make it clear to anyone watching, this is not a meeting of the Traffic Commission. We have not posted it as a meeting. We're simply here as observers and to gather information on the SDOT presentation. So, thank you very much for allowing us to be here.
Oh, thank you for coming. Anyone else? Okay, with no further delays, let's go to item 6, the DOT update, the DOT presentation, intersection improvements at Route 8 and 9. And Jackie, I will turn this over to you, and you want to make some opening statements, and then Sandy can give you control and you can do your PowerPoint. And
Sure.
before we start, can I just how I'd like to do this, I want to have Jackie do her PowerPoint, open it up to the board for questions, and then open it up to the traffic commission for their comments and questions, okay? And then if there's anybody else that has a question, we'll see how we're doing for time, okay? Okay, Jackie.
Okay, still not able to get to share screen.
I'm doing that right now. I had to go, you were all the way at the bottom.
So I guess I pull that up. So the project manager for Mass DOT, John Freeman's here. John, do you want to start with some opening remarks?
Yes, my name is John Freeman. I am the Mass DOT project manager for the intersection improvement project at routes 8 and 9 at West Housatonic Street and at South Street. We're considering two alternatives, one of them being a roundabout at South Street and upgraded signalized intersection at West Housatonic Street, and the other alternative being to upgrade the traffic signals. We're here today to obtain the input of the Traffic Commission and the Board of Selectmen and the residents of the town in general. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to HDR and Jackie.
Perfect, thank you. So good evening, everyone. As John mentioned, I'm just going to go through a brief introductions and information about the project need, discuss the three alternatives in a little bit more detail, along with when we met with the Traffic Commission back in October. One of the key items was traffic management, and then the project's next step. So the project's currently funded on the Mass DOT 2024 TIP with Highway Safety Improvement Funds for a total of $1.9 million. The add date is set for 12/30/2023 with construction to start in the spring of 2024. The project needs, as many of you probably drive this corridor on a daily basis, the existing conditions right now have a narrow shoulder, which vary from a foot to 2 feet in some areas. It doesn't meet the needs of all users. There are no bike accommodations, and the pedestrian accommodations are not complete at both intersections, along with poor traffic signals that need updating and the lane configurations and poor delineation and storage and then signage. So an overview, this is the existing traffic volumes. These volumes were done in 2019, so pre-COVID. The project area, as seen on this map, the design speed's 30 miles an hour. The average annual daily traffic is around 15,570 vehicles. And as you can see from this figure here, that at South Street and Main Street, you have ped accommodations at 3 of the 4 legs, while at West Housatonic, you just have the one ped crossing West Housatonic. To give you some more information of what was detailed in the road safety audit that was completed in 2017, the project was started because it was a top 5 crash cluster, and from 2013 through 2015 there were 26 crashes, and in the last 4 years from 2016 through 2019 there were also 26 crashes. So the crashes vary based on severity, but as you can see from the chart, there were 16 crashes that involved an injury, while the other 36 just involved property damage. To give you more information on those years, 2013 through 2015, this is the crash diagram. And to give everyone some background, all of these arrows are referencing vehicles and their direction of travel, and the circles represent injuries. So a few of note would be the rear end crashes. Throughout the project area, there's 10 rear end crashes, 3 of those that resulted in injury. And the reasoning for these crashes were the signal chiming and the visibility of the signal. So people trying to make the next light, trying to get through on a yellow when the person in front of them stops. In addition to these 4 at Main and South Street, this turn here, 2 of those resulted, of the 4 crashes, 2 resulted in an injury, and this was due to the poor visibility of the signal and of oncoming vehicles, and then what's also called a courtesy crash, where someone in one lane stops, but the person in the adjacent lane doesn't stop. So with all of these, another crash also seen at Main Street and West Housatonic, 3 crashes, and the note for these 3 crashes were based on the signal placement at West Housatonic, or the signal for West Housatonic was outside the driver's line of sight. So moving to the crashes from 2016 through 2019, you see a lot of these crashes repeat. So you have 9 rear-end crashes, 3 that result in injury. You have 5 angled crashes here. The area of those angles vary based on what lane the driver's trying to cross. And then you also see the same crashes at Main Street and West Housatonic due to the signal placement. So there are additional crashes. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that's just to give you an overview of the crashes that are happening out there up through 2019. And of those crashes, these were all items that were referenced in the road safety audit in their summary report. So the road safety audit mentioned that all of these crashes can be mitigated with updates to the existing signals, a new design, and then they reference the 6 bullets here of what should be considered when updating and looking into the project area, with additional recommendations being upgrading the signals, replacing the existing signals with roundabout, and incorporating bicycle facilities. So with the RSAs, the design process started back in 2019, where HDR started to review different alternatives for this project area. So there were 3 alternatives that were actually reviewed. So 2 that we'll be presenting tonight, and 1 that we reviewed, and you'll see in a few slides that was just removed. So with all of these alternatives, the traffic volumes, the safety analysis, the operational analysis were all reviewed, and the bike and pedestrian accommodations have been laid out, and the design constraints for the whole corridor included right-of-way, the historic properties at the Crane Estate, and then the vertical grade challenges at the intersection of Main Street and West Housatonic. So to give you a bird's eye view, option 1, which we'll be presenting tonight, is the 2 signals. So similar to the existing configuration, option 2 was the double roundabout. Some people call it a peanut. This option was eliminated due to the physical constraints at West Housatonic to help to get the intersection to work at the proper slope and to maintain the grades on West Housatonic and Main Street. The encroachment on the historical properties and the existing homes within the area was deemed too great, so this option was removed. And then option 3 is the roundabout and the signal. So it'll be a little different than, it's a little different, and you'll see it in a few slides of a few changes that we've made. So the first one, the 2 signals, we're showing 11-foot travel lanes, a 4-foot grass buffer on the north and south side. On the north side, we're showing an 8-foot shared use path, and on the south side, we're showing a 10-foot shared use path. And to give you a little bit more detail at each intersection, this is at South Street. we're maintaining the existing lane configuration and just providing the ped and bike accommodations for the bus stops through the intersection. And then same at Main Street and West Housatonic, maintaining the existing configuration, adding the ped crossing across Main Street. And so this is the overview of the roundabout and the signal. It is different than you saw on that last slide. After this alternative was advanced, the traffic modeling was reviewed further, and it was determined that a 2-lane roundabout was not needed for this intersection, so we were able to reduce the size and to give you a more detailed view. So this roundabout is 130 feet in diameter with the center circle here, mountable area of 70 feet. We're showing 11-foot lanes, an 8-foot north side shared use path or side path. And on the south side, we have a 4-foot grass buffer and a 10-foot shared use path. So you'll see this auxiliary lane here to help improve the traffic delays, along with the auxiliary lane from South Street, and these 2 lanes will just help process the queue in the AM. And moving on to Main Street, the biggest change here is that westbound on Main Street, the left turns onto West Housatonic have been eliminated, and all turns will be required to use the roundabout. And I guess just for some background information, and talking about roundabouts, the roundabouts do range from 100 feet to a 600-foot inner diameter, or 160-foot inner diameter. So we're in the middle at about 130 feet for the widest point. And you can see that they do differ from rotaries. Rotaries are 300 feet, or larger circles that cause weaving and weaving areas. And these smaller lanes will help not only provide safety benefits, but will also help with traffic calming and reducing the speed throughout this corridor, and hopefully help limit the amount of crashes seen with rear ends and the conflict points at the intersection. And then to give you a little bit more information on the auxiliary lanes, so this is to help increase capacity during the AM peak. So you can see the westbound auxiliary lane in red along Main Street, and then this is a protected lane from South Street going right onto Main Street. So these lanes just help ensure that this queue can be fully processed during that AM peak hour. And to give you a little bit more information about the operational results for the 2 traffic signals, the AM peak, your level of service is C for both intersections, so about 28 seconds of delay, whereas with the roundabout, your AM peak has about 7 seconds of delay with the level of service A. I'm not sure how much detail we want to go into this, but if anyone has additional questions after, we can come back and answer them. So traffic management, so just to reiterate that we understand that this is one of the main routes in and out of the town of Dalton, so we will not be allowing a detour for this work, and that emergency access and traffic will be maintained throughout all of construction. And at the 75% level of the design, a full temporary traffic management plan will be provided. So the next steps, right now we're hoping that we can advance the preferred design for a spring of 2021 submission to Mass DOT, which would then follow with a design public hearing in the fall. So I think with that, Bob, I'll let you start questions.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Anybody on the board have any questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Joe, Joe Diver. First question I have is, if you look at all the work that the state has completed, what impact on crash reductions is, the roundabout structure versus the signal upgrade? So if you look at the 6-year analysis with 52 crashes, what has been the impact of both of those styles, if you will, of changes?
So I can't give you exact numbers. If we went with a roundabout, the crashes would go from X to Y. But based on the benefits of the roundabout, the conflict points that you see within a roundabout, this is probably the best slide to show it. With a roundabout, you have 8 vehicle conflict points and 8 pedestrian, up to 8 vehicle and pedestrian conflict points, where with a traditional intersection, those conflict points go up to 32. So depending on the number of crashes in the area, I can't tell you what the crashes would be if a roundabout was chosen for that location.
So you don't have data from other towns that have gone with a roundabout?
We can follow up on that. There actually is a highway safety manual that has crash modification factors that will tell you, based on previous experience, the expected ratio or percentage of crashes that an alternative is likely to result in. And I can tell you from general knowledge that roundabouts result in certainly fewer severe crashes than signalized intersections due to the lower number of conflict points.
Yeah, I'm more interested in actual outcomes of other towns you've done, what the results are in general.
Okay, we can get back to you.
And then the other thing, Mr. Chairman, I just want to recognize the petition we received from Mr. Haley that's been signed by a number of Dalton residents and opposing a roundabout. And so I just want to make sure we put that on the record for this evening.
Okay. I just have a quick question, Jackie. What is the construction time for a roundabout versus the signal upgrade?
So it would vary depending on the traffic management plan. So as of right now, we're saying for the whole project, it would be between 12 and 24 month construction duration. That's what we have in our project schedule. Depending on the closures and time of year, we could get back to you on what exactly the time frame would be. Closer to 75%, saying it would take exact man hours and days, if that's the level of detail that you want. You just want
I
a ballpark.
Just a general idea. Okay.
So the last roundabout I designed in Sandwich, it took maybe about 6 months longer than an intersection to construct.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is there anyone else on the board?
Yeah, Jackie, how many vehicles pass through per day, you said?
15,500 approximately.
So 15,000 times 365 times 8. And we've had 60 accidents.
Oh, yeah, over 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
About 50, yep.
So I'm not a math whiz, but 40, if somebody can check that for me, 365 days times 15,000 times 8 years.
Gets a very small percentage of crashes based on traffic volume.
Thank you.
Anyone else? John or Dan, you got any comments?
Yeah, Bob, I got some comments.
Go ahead, John.
Jackie, can we put up the overlay picture again?
Sure, for what alternative?
one that showed the, yeah, that's good. Okay. No, I'm sorry, the rotary. Okay. First thing, if a person comes out, a vehicle comes out of Housatonic Street, which I do about 8 times a day, and you want to take a left and head west towards Pittsfield, or go around the rotary and then go down South Street. Now, if you come out of Housatonic Street, there's this bump out here, which forces you over in the right-hand lane into traffic that's coming down the hill, as opposed to going out there now and just taking an immediate left and being in the left-hand lane to take you down South Street. Why is that bump out thing necessary?
That's a design detail. So the median, it doesn't need to be there. We could put it back, maintain the existing median or something closer to what's out there today, and then just use paint to help delineate that area.
So a vehicle could come out of Housatonic Street and take an immediate left and be in the left-hand lane and be able to proceed to the rotary or roundabout and be in the right lane already and then go down South Street. Would I be correct in saying that?
Sure, if that,
okay.
If that's the design detail that you want.
Okay. Second thing, in linear footage, what's the distance between the eastern edge of the rotary and the western edge of Housatonic Street?
About 200 feet.
200 feet, okay. One of the questions that was brought to my attention was, is there a possibility that if this light's green, red here, the one by Housatonic Street, could traffic have a propensity to back up into the rotary?
No, it does not. And I have a quick video if you'd like to see it.
Sure.
Okay. So this is just the simulation that shows.
Yep, gotcha.
What the, yep. So without the auxiliary lane and without the lane from South Street to Main Street, the queues were backing up on South Street about 1,200 feet. So.
Yep. On that simulation, Jackie, is there any, they take into account any large truck traffic, which is a lot of traffic that
Yeah, so both intersections are designed for WD67.
As far as the volume of trucks coming through that same simulation, I don't see any truck traffic in that simulation.
Oh, I'm not sure about the simulation if it would show truck traffic, but I can get back to you and see if that's something that we could add to it.
Okay. I have another question.
Chairman, can I continue with my question?
Sorry, John.
Go ahead, John.
All right. Jackie, okay. When you come out of South Street and want to take a right to go up to the main part of Dalton or possibly down Housatonic Street, there's a separate auxiliary lane, right? So a person coming out of South Street doesn't actually have to get into the flow of the rotary. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And I have one other question, but I can't remember it right now. Oh, I just want to make a comment about Mr. Is it Healy's petition?
Haley.
Haley. The right to petition is firmly embedded in the Constitution. We all know that. I just wanted to say that in case there's a constitutional scholar in the audience. But you also have a responsibility to have accurate facts or somewhere near accurate facts in the body of your petition. Mr. Haley's petition had several major errors. One, the distance from the rotary to Housatonic Street, the construction date, and a couple more. Yet, many people, including members of this board, in advance of having this presentation, already signed this petition being against it. In other words, it's nothing but an emotional reaction to the idea of having a roundabout in Dalton. So people reacted emotionally and signed the petition online. Yeah, well, and I'd be happy to meet with Mr. Haley at any point in time. I have all the downloaded information and go over it. Oh, he also pointed out that there's no driveway access to this house right here. Well, if Mr. Haley's watching, the driveway and parking lot are right here. Plenty of driveway, plenty of parking lot.
We also need to keep in mind too, this is just a 25% plan. This isn't the final.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I have, Mr. Chairman, I guess going to John Freeman, is that if the town is against the roundabout, which many are, for
it's
whatever
not
reason.
set in stone. That's why we have this meeting, and we're having a later design public hearing probably in the fall. I also wanted to follow up with...
Let me finish the question, John, please. At what point do we stop the rotary or the roundabout design and go directly to the signal design and save us all time and energy if that's the case? Just what does that timeline look like?
I would like to get through the public hearing first and get all of the public's official comments, which will be sometime this fall.
Well, as we go through that process and we have accidents in the current signaling process, if we have 52 accidents and roughly 26 over a 3-year period, we're going to have more accidents. Is that the problem we want to solve?
Yes, but there are opportunities to do so with a signal. For example, you could have, on the westbound approach, you could have a protected only left turn, which would be preventing vehicles from being able to turn left from westbound to southbound South Street unless the oncoming vehicles are stopped. As far as rear-end crashes are concerned, there are signal visibility improvements that could be made, such as backplates of retroreflective borders and better cone vision alignments. And there's still improvements that can be made short of a roundabout if a roundabout is determined not to be desired by the town. I do want to mention, though, that your comment about it being a small rate, we generally look at crash rates in comparison to other areas in the MassDOT district or in the state, and there's a rate per million entering vehicles. And I just did some quick back-of-the-envelope calculations and determined that this intersection is approximately 12 times as high as the district average.
Due to poor signaling, right?
Yeah, we're looking at a crash rate here per million entering vehicles of 11.88, and the district average is 0.8.
And back to the earlier question, it would be interesting to see what that changes of signal changes versus roundabouts and what the difference is, because I'm sure the cost for the state is quite different between those two models.
Yes, HDR ran an analysis called the SPICE tool, which is a safety performance intersection control evaluation. And that does a cost-benefit analysis and assigns a monetary benefit to the reduced number of crashes and weights them by severity, and also looks at the construction cost and the cost of traffic delays. And it adds that all together with the environmental impacts as well and right-of-way, and determines on balance what the optimal alternative would be. And that determines that a roundabout would be the superior alternative based on all those considerations of this location.
Okay, so the residents of Dalton, their voice isn't heard until February or until the fall of 21, correct? In this plan?
We have to, legally, we have to go through a design public hearing in order to formally hear a collective opinion from the entire town, not just that one person that wrote the petition.
Sounds fair.
Just for the record, there's roughly 300 residents on that petition.
And the population as a whole, I'd imagine, in Dalton is at least an order of magnitude more than that.
Yep, no, you're correct. Yep.
Okay, anyone else on the select board?
Yeah, just one question, Bob.
Go ahead, John.
If we go ahead with the rotary proposal, there's this big vacant space, this red space in the center of the rotary. and this is a state highway. But is that space, would that space be available for something like a welcome to Dalton sign?
I can take that as well, unless, Jackie, do you want to?
So, since the design vehicle is a WV67, that red area is needed for a full vehicle to make a 360 turn. So the space wouldn't be allowed for a welcome to Dalton sign. But, I mean, there's other options that we could look into for placement of a town sign.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Bob, just one further question. Jackie, as part of this project, whichever way it goes, with the better signalization or one rotary, as you view to the west, towards the Pittsfield town line, which is maybe 200-300 feet down the road, there's allegedly a sidewalk there, but I think it's deteriorated to the being a cow path, or I don't even know if there's a total sidewalk to the town line. Is there any way we can incorporate into this project extending the sidewalk on the south side of Main Street to the Pittsfield state line, Pittsfield town line?
I can definitely look into it to see how much further it is and get back to you on that.
Yeah, it'd make a very much better project either way.
That will depend on the budget. And we have what's called the STIP, which is a statewide transportation improvement program that allocates a certain amount of funding each year for each project. And this project currently stands at $1.9 million, pretty much on the button. And we're currently programmed for $2,072,000. So we have $172,000 left over at the current stage, but we have to account for inflation and that unit costs go up over time.
But this programmed project is currently in the hands of the MPO, the Massachusetts, whatever it is, the MPO. Anyway, I'm certain if requested, they would include the additional funds to extend the sidewalk down to the town line. I'm not asking for a commitment, I'm just asking you to think about it.
It makes total logical sense, and there's time to reshuffle around the funds, seeing as this is not programmed until federal fiscal year 2024.
Right.
We do tip readiness days annually, and I think that if we can find the funding, that would be a great improvement, but I can't promise anything.
If you guys can find out how much that little stretch of sidewalk would cost, just so the figure is available to bring to the forefront of the MPO when they discuss funding these programs and projects.
Depending on material used, it's a rule of thumb is $100 per linear foot.
$100 a linear foot?
Roughly. It could be down to 80 if you're using hot mix asphalt, and up to 135 if you're using cement concrete.
Yeah. There's a difference too in the curbing, whether it's a Cape Cod type curbing or a granite curbing.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I have a couple more questions. I guess I'll throw these to Jackie. Back to the truck traffic, we do have double trailers that come down this road, and also oversized cargo, such as concrete pieces coming through Dalton as well. And has that been taken into consideration in the roundabout design?
So I didn't know about the double trailers, but I can definitely look into that. And what were the other vehicles?
The oversized cargoes, such as major concrete pieces from Patrica.
Okay, so with the oversized vehicles, do they probably take up both lanes today? I'm assuming that would probably be the case.
Yeah, I would defer that question probably to one of our law enforcement folks who might be on the call or not, but yeah, I would think they would take up both lanes.
All right, yeah, that is something that we can definitely look into, what the size of it is.
Okay, you all set, Joe?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, is anyone else on the board all set?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Dan.
So, if I heard Jackie correctly, there's this shared use path that's the sidewalk. Is that where bikes are supposed to be traveling, or are they traveling in the car lanes, auto lanes?
Correct. The bikes would exit the street and get up to sidewalk level, and on the south side they have 10 feet so that there wouldn't be a conflict between the bikes and the pedestrians, and on the north side, it's a side path and they have about 8 feet. So still minimal conflict and enough space. And on this approach over here, you'll see the bikes would then exit and tie into the existing West Housatonic bike lane.
I would be careful about saying 8 feet is enough space, because MassDOT's minimum standard is 10 feet for shared use paths, in which the historical impacts are precluding that. Bicycles are certainly allowed to use it, but they're also welcome to use the roadway lanes in the westbound direction.
And bikes that are traveling east up the hill, they need to basically merge with that express lane?
No, because the ramp up to the sidewalk is upstream before you get to the bus stop area. You can see there's a little opening there in the grass area.
Yeah, I'm referring to if you're coming, well, it's basically traveling east, you've exited the roundabout, and you want to go up the hill towards the cemetery. As a biker, what do you do?
Jackie,
traveling into the center of town, you would need to merge back into the roadway.
Okay.
Just become a shared lane at that point. And we can provide arrows or markings and signs to indicate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I have one more question. I promised my last one, and thank you, John and Jackie, for a great discussion presentation. But as I look at this image, I see a lot of green. I look out my window here and I see a lot of white. What's the snow removal process look like here, and the impact the traffic congestion as that occurs? What does that look like?
So that I'm not sure. I'd have to check with the district and get back to you on what the current maintenance agreement is out there.
I believe we plow that section of the road, if I'm not mistaken.
South Street.
Okay.
We started South Street.
Yeah, typically we use the grass strips and the median islands, but I think is the district on the call?
Yeah, good evening, John. It's Mark Moore. So, I mean, typically, like any intersection, we will plow the main line during a storm event, and we will have to come back out with other equipment, probably a loader, to clean up intersections, and that's true whether it's a signal or a roundabout. Now, clearly, roundabouts have a little bit special need when it comes to snow removal, but there are processes in place that we would do during a off-peak cleanup process to get the center island and the all the approaches pushed back.
Thank you.
Okay, you all set? Okay, Dan Filio, I'd like to have you or your traffic commission ask questions at this point.
I do have a question. Thank you for allowing this. Maybe more of a comment. The process you're talking about adding the lanes for pedestrians and bicyclists, that's going to follow the complete streets consideration?
Correct. That would follow Mass DOT's latest policies and procedures.
Okay, so and you mentioned that the ability to have sharrows and signage put in to help motorists and pedestrians, bicyclists know the sharing of the road?
Yes, those would all be fully detailed at the 25% level.
That would be to tie into existing conditions. MassDOT doesn't allow showers as part of new projects.
Oh, really? Okay. Because we do, we just finished completion on the Housatonic Street, and we do have bike lanes in there. I think it would be important that there be some consideration giving directions going in there. I'd be interested in seeing what the plan would show for that. Thank you.
Yeah, you would have to get a design exception, which is something that you'd have to have significant justification of why it's not physically feasible.
Yeah. No, understand. Thank you for answering the question.
Welcome.
Okay. Anyone else on your committee, Dan, have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question, please?
Oh, you're just a police chief.
I don't matter.
It's also on the traffic commission.
So my question is, I believe they said these were 11-foot lanes, and my question is, where is the space for, this is a pretty main thoroughfare coming into Dalton, not only for Dalton, but emergency vehicles responding to the hill towns outside of Dalton. So many, many emergency vehicles come through here, specifically ambulances. And I'm just concerned about this design for the yielding to emergency vehicles. There doesn't look like a lot of space for that. So could you just help me out with that?
Sure. So right now, the lanes are 11 feet, and then you do have a 2-foot shoulder on each side. So as for additional space, there would be emergency preemption at the first signal for the roundabout. We can look at trying to add additional space. Are you just thinking for the main east-west movements, or?
Well, it's just that is our main thoroughfare, and like I said, emergency vehicles come out here from mutual aid through, through all the surrounding towns, so it would be pretty heavily traveled for both fire apparatus and especially ambulances, and then police cars. We go through there daily, multiple times daily.
Okay, so if this alternative is chosen, we can definitely look into the emergency vehicles, and if there's any space that we can widen and maybe provide more room in the shoulders to help accommodate that.
Yeah, I was kind of specifically talking about that single lane coming up, heading eastbound. It just seems a little rough to get around there, but thank you. I appreciate the input.
Okay.
They could always pull into the bus stop area, the regular traffic if need be. It's not encouraged in general, but if there's an emergency, people trying to get through.
Okay.
You all set, Chief?
Thank you so much.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a question here. And I appreciate the presentation tonight, but it sounds like we're trying to solve a problem, or the state's trying to solve a problem with crashes. And the signal is probably the best solution. So I'm wondering if we could make if I could make a motion to support the signaling strategy versus the roundabout, and move that and see if the other committee members agree with that. It just seems like a lot of work and a lot of effort to solve a problem that could be solved with a cheaper, quicker solution for our town and for the state.
I think they said they have to, by law, have the public hearing in the fall.
Yeah, we don't stop it. We just kind of support which model we are thinking here at the end of the day.
Yeah, you can provide written support. That's fine. We legally have to go through design public hearing, which will be in the fall. You made a comment earlier, it wouldn't change until spring 2022, but the design, if the signal is the clear preference by the public immediately following the design public hearing sometime this fall, then the design of the signal can start immediately after that.
Is that fair enough, Joe?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we take we support the signaling strategy and write a letter of support for that strategy.
Is there a second on that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, a motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'm in favor, but I just want the procedure to go what it's supposed to do into the fall to get the public opinion. because there may be other stuff coming along. This is, like I said, it's only a 25% plan. And there may be some upgrades or whatever that nobody's seeing at this point, so. Okay, anyone else? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if I agree with you or not, but I think we're rushing to judgment here. We have plenty of time to assess the community's needs and opinions and how they feel about it. After they've actually heard and seen the actual diagrams and layouts and communications from the distinguished members of the DOT that have come here this evening. Education will take us a long way as opposed to the petition that was submitted, which was basically an emotional reaction. Oh, you're scared of a big change in Dalton. That always comes out. And I think we need to really look at this.
Okay. Yeah, I think you underestimate that.
And Joe Zone said we should give the data as opposed to what other rotaries have they reduced accident rates. Like there's one in Adams, and there's one down in front of Look Park. They're building one in Great Barrington. They just built a big one and down in Northampton Hadley, right in front of the bridge. So there's no rush to make a judgment here and make a recommendation. So I'm opposed to doing that.
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to agree with Mr. Boyle here. I feel like to come out in support of one option over the other right now, to me, seems premature. I would like to see more data about the benefits, the actual decrease in accidents based on a roundabout being installed versus signaling. I'm definitely in support of improved signaling to decrease accidents today, but I feel like we need more information, and I'm not quite ready to just say I want more signaling or improved signaling over a roundabout right now. So I would agree with Mr. Boyle.
All right, let's take a roll call vote then. John?
No.
Joe?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Dan?
No.
And I'm going to say no because I agree with Dan and John. I think we need to listen, and I agree. The signal thing probably what we're going to end up going with. But we got to give these guys a chance to present it to the town and follow their procedures as well. And there's going to be more. There's going to be more information coming out. So, see. Okay. So motion's defeated. Is there any other questions or anything for our DOT guests?
Mr. Chairman, this is Joe Fish. I have a question.
Hi, Joe.
Miss Jackie and John, I just want to say thank you very much for the great presentation that you had this evening. My question is about the crosswalks. These crosswalks, are they handicap friendly, handicap accessible, even for individuals that have vision hindrance or problems?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. They all are.
Thank you so very much. That's it.
All right. Anyone else?
Chairman? Just one comment, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Joe.
I don't know how well traveled my fellow colleagues are in townspeople, but just recently, and I didn't believe it myself, but they put in a roundabout rotary in Worthington. It's hard to believe that they had the traffic volume there to support that kind of initiative, so to speak, but it's been done. So if you get a chance, take a ride up there and check it out.
Okay, let's get moving on though. Anybody else, any questions or comments?
No, just again, thank you to John and Jackie for a great presentation, discussion, and thank you colleagues for entertaining that motion and good conversation. Appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate it too. And like I said, most likely it's probably going to go to the upgrade signaling, but we got to follow the process also. So, all right, we thank you very much, Rick and Jackie, and I think Mark was on there. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, you too now. Okay, next on our agenda is appointments. The first one up is for the Police Department Acting Sergeant. Chief, are you still here?
Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
I'd like to recuse myself at this time.
Okay, probably a good idea, Mark. Thank you.
I am here, Mr. Bishop.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan, I'll put you on.
Okay. So I am requesting that Officer Bizzella, who is a 7-year veteran of the Dalton Police Department, extremely talented investigator, very, very good police officer, be appointed tonight as an acting sergeant. And currently we are staffed with the chief, and we're slotted for 3 sergeants. Sergeant Furlong he's unavailable to us, and Sergeant Powell is currently assigned to the midnight shift. So the department is exactly where we were before Chief Riello started, except a little worse off because our sergeant is on midnights at the moment without Sergeant Furlong here. So getting that second sergeant is pretty important to us right now, just to spread out the seniority where it needs to be. 1 sergeant on each shift, and hopefully Sergeant Furlong will get back to us soon.
Okay. All right. A motion, to entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Bizzella to acting sergeant.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the appointment of acting sergeant Bizzella as per recommendation of our chief of police and Sandra Albano, our interim town manager.
Second.
Okay. A motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Let's see, I gotta find everybody. I'm sorry. Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And Bob, yes. Congratulations, Acting Sergeant Bizzella.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Chief, what's your next one?
So my next request is to appoint Dorothy DeMoro Litz, who most of you remember was a 6-year veteran of the Dalton Police Department. She is a fantastic police officer. My favorite thing about Officer DeMoro is her ability to talk to people, her empathetic way with people, and how kind she is to everyone she comes in contact with. Dottie is also a sexual assault certified officer. It's kind of a no-brainer for us. It would be a reinstatement, so she could basically walk back in the door and she's still certified because per civil service she has not been separated from us for more than 5 years. It's actually been about 15 months. So this would be a win-win, and she is full-time certified, and as I briefed some of you at this point about the reform bill, we are looking really, really hard at getting these officers that are full-time certified, and that would be a win-win for us to get Ms. Litz back to us.
Okay, I agree. It's definitely a win-win situation for us.
For many reasons.
Yes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Ms. Dottie.
And Chief, that's a intermittent officer?
Correct. Our opening right now is for a reserve officer, and since she is already full-time certified, I can hire her. As you know, with the reform bill, there is no reserve academy, so I'm essentially at a hiring freeze right now. I can't hire anyone that isn't full-time trained at this point or reserve certified. But on the short story, yes, reserve officer until full-time openings come up, and then she can move up the ladder with the others.
Good. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the reappointment of Dorothy DeMoro Litz as a reserve officer for the Dalton Police Department.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Bob, yes. Welcome back, Dottie.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Congrats, Dottie. Welcome back.
Okay, at this point, we're going to open as a license board. You've all seen in your packages, the Shire Brew House is now to have a change of management. Matt Motter, they didn't get the paperwork in time last time, so they did their legwork and they got their paper signed into us today, so we can vote to transfer the license today. So, I will entertain a motion unless somebody has a question for Mr. Motter.
I'm just trying to find the documents so one of my colleagues can do the motion. I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we're transferring the license. I think we're just appointing Mr. Motter as the manager. Name that license.
Correct. If I misspoke, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what it is.
Anybody else have that document in front of you?
John, you want me to make the motion?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
That'd be great. Thank you, John.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Matthew Motter Matt, do you have an address?
I live in Hinsdale.
That's all right. Of Hinsdale, be listed as the manager of the brew house licensed on Flansburgh Avenue.
Is there a second? Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Bob, yes. Congratulations, Matt.
Or not.
When can you open up? Are you open up now?
We are doing takeout currently, and there's we're having a heat issue in the building, and we hope to have that resumed. We'll have everything fixed this week, hopefully, and I'd like to see indoor dining, hopefully the beginning of April.
Okay. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Matt, have you expanded the menu?
There's going to be quite a few additions on there, and there's going to be some challenges too. I want to do like a burger challenge with a 4.5-pound burger and some other cool stuff.
Only if it's 4.5-pound burger. I'll do that.
And I've been currently doing some.
I'll buy it for you to see you eat it.
I want to see somebody eat it.
I want to get the T-shirt.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'm doing private dining right now. If anybody contacts me, we're doing some private dinners. Yeah, it's been fun. So hopefully we'll see everybody around, and thanks for helping out tonight.
Are you still obeying all the health regulations as far as distancing and capacity?
Yes. Yep.
There's no other next in a public forum.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead, Dan.
The resubmittal paperwork for this is requesting that the select board, or the licensing authority rather, not only approve a change of manager, but a request to approve a management operating agreement by another entity, Berkshire Culinary Group LLC. Did we do that at our past meeting, or should we do that?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did that at the last
time. I want to make sure we've got both approvals.
Good pickup, but we did do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for picking that up. All right, we're going to close this licensing board now. Up next, it's a Central Berkshire Regional School District. I thought I saw some people. Oh, I saw Leslie. Yeah, there, and Greg. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Leslie, I'll turn it over to you and Greg.
So I can just give you some a few updates, district level updates. I'm sure that some of you are aware, just by reading the news, but we will be bringing our K-5 students back full in person on April 5th. We're excited about that, but as you can imagine, we're pretty busy. We have some work to do to make sure the number one priority, of course, is to make sure we're doing it in safe ways. And we will be having an informational session for all K through 5 families tomorrow night. And I can make sure the link's on our website. I sent the link in my newsletter, just so we can sort of fill families in around what that's going to look like. And I guess that's about it, but that's kind of big news for us. In terms of middle school, we are still waiting for we're kind of waiting for some guidance, but we are waiting for some guidance from the commissioner, which is actually scheduled to come out tomorrow around middle school and high school. So we didn't really want to make any firm decisions until we got that information. But we're we are discussing it. But like I said, we're waiting for that guidance. And we're also, another thing that another important thing that we're moving forward with is something called pooled testing. So pooled testing is something that a lot of other districts in Massachusetts are participating in. And it's another level of, I think, just another level of safety around COVID. So it's voluntary. So families have to sign a permission slip. They don't have to. Although the higher participation that you get, the more effective it is. So it basically the intention is that every staff and students are tested once a week, And this is state funded. So really this is for a while it's state funded, and then after that we use stimulus money, grant fund money to fund it. And the intention, like I said, is to really sort of make sure that we're catching any asymptomatic cases so that we keep our schools as virus free as possible. That's really our main goal, is just so sometimes we will find something out and it's kind of it's a little bit delayed. Like it's much better right now in terms of when we get results, but this is a more proactive approach. So that for us, we did a trial. We had some brave staff members at Wacona that volunteered to do a trial for us. And then we'll be starting that next week with the high school and then rolling it out to the middle and the elementary. By the time the elementary is full in person, we'll have that, that will be in full swing. The high school too is looking great. The new high school, we're on track right now, and things are moving nicely. It's beautiful. Their rooms are painted, and you can kind of really get a visual of what classrooms are going to look like now. It's really coming together.
I have a quick question on the testing or getting the shots for the teachers and stuff. Is there any thought of getting the teachers like a pool where they can all go and get vaccinated at one site? I'm really surprised they put them off as long as this.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I know. So right now, I have, I'm in constant communication with Jane Smith, with Dr. Doyle, just to see if they can do something for educators, especially since we're going back full in person at the elementary level on April 5th. And, right now what I'm hearing is the state is saying really technically educators aren't even supposed to schedule vaccinations until March 11th. We've all discovered through CVS that that's the one site in Massachusetts that educators can right now schedule an appointment, but it's really hard to get. So it's an area of frustration, to be perfectly honest with you. What we're being told though is, and not because our, like Jane and Dr. Doyle, they're working so hard, to make sure that as many community members in these categories are vaccinated. We have a good system in Berkshire County. What I'm hearing is that supply isn't meeting demand, and so that's the latest information I've gotten. I did hear today, I did get some information from the commissioner that, to stay tuned because they're planning on creating some state sites and scheduling some vaccination, I think weekend days just for educators, but we don't have anything definitive around that.
I really feel strongly they should be getting it as soon as possible. But
I know, I'm in 150% agreement with you.
All right. Greg, did you have anything, Greg?
Well, yes, actually, on the agenda tonight is a vote to use, so the district received ESSER 2 funds. That is the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. This is the second round. With the funds we received, a portion of those can be used by member towns where their local required contribution went up. So 4 of our district towns did see an increase in their required local contribution. Dalton saw 44,310. So you tonight can vote to approve the use of those funds to offset that increase. I sent information to Sandy last week, and we talked a little bit about it, but I'm not sure if you, did you share it with the...
No, I haven't. I was going to share that with them in this agenda item. Okay. And basically, you've kind of just reiterated exactly what that extra money is going to be used for. So our assessment from the school is based on our a basic budget with a required local contribution. And as Greg said, that increased by 44,000 this year. And so when he approached me that the select board needed to vote in order to be able to use the elementary secondary school emergency relief program, I was like, wow, that's great. I'm sure they're going to want to do that. So that's why we're here tonight with this vote to be taken. And I'm hoping that the select board's in agreement with that as well.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. And thank you, Greg. All right, I'll entertain a motion to Chairman,
I'm going to sit in for the rest of this meeting. I wasn't planning on it, but considering the money involved in this, would the finance committee need to be involved in some manner?
So according to the language written from the state, it's up to cities and towns to determine whether they would like the district to exercise this provision, not local education agencies. So communities should affirm this decision through a vote of the city council, board of selectmen, or town council. So that's why it was brought before the board, because that's part of the rule.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
And if I understand as well, reading that rule, it looks like that the our vote would be to, if we were to accept the offset, then it's the school committee still has a responsibility to apply that offset, and it looks like the offset is applied directly to the bottom line. Do I have that correct, Greg?
So it would be right off the required local contribution. And then that would then go into our budget as revenue at the same time. So then the other towns wouldn't feel that offset.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we accept our town manager's recommendation to accept the ESSER 2 offset for the town of Dalton.
Okay, so second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Joe.
Mr. Chairman of the Finance Committee, you support this vote? You support this action?
Seems to me to be quite beneficial. I was just going to do a quick chat with Sandy just to ask a question, but since it's been asked, how is that going to affect our bottom line for FY21? Is it going to affect our free cash in any manner?
I believe, is this for FY21, Greg, or the budget coming up?
For the one coming up, so it's for FY22.
Will that be taken into account, Greg? In this case, will that be taken into account at the school level? Because I know you're working on the budget presently. Is it going to relate to that?
Yes. So actually, the budget's going to be presented Thursday night to school committee, and we do for the 4 towns. We went with the fact that the towns are probably going to agree to this, so it is in the budget for Thursday night, the use of these funds.
I would think that the finance committee would support it. I can't see why they would not in this case. We do have a finance committee meeting coming up this coming Wednesday. If you'd like me to present it, I would be glad to.
Well, I don't think it will affect the...
I think we should just vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So the budget that'll come before us will have a reduction in the RLC, required local contribution. You'll see it reduced as opposed to the one that's been on the website already. Okay. You'll see that reduced by the $44,310.
It also looks like the school committee needs this decision for their budget meeting
right.
on the 11th to finalize it.
Yeah.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Did we second? John, you seconded it, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Dan?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Bob, yes. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for keeping us in the loop here. We really appreciate the updates and stuff. It's greatly appreciated.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, now, let's see. Okay, Sandy, you're up on the FY22 budgets.
So just making sure everyone got all of those budgets that I sent.
I gotta pull them up.
I also sent the budget review schedule that shows that we've had a couple reviews canceled, and it appears that, to me, by adding the special on the 15th will help us stay on task for the remaining budgets that are yet to be presented.
Okay, Sandy, if we need to, we can always do one later in the week too to catch up. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking I need the weekend to help get a bunch of those all accomplished, so I appreciate that, though.
Sandy, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
You sent all this information out. I'm talking about myself particularly. Where did you send it? Did you send it?
I sent it to the select board group of you this evening.
Individually? At home?
No, at your email. I think, what is yours? John Boyle at Gmail?
You mean the governmental email address?
No, your Gmail, John.
Well, I'm just trying to track this down because I haven't gotten it.
It's a PDF with all of them together on one PDF.
It came out at 6:30 tonight, John.
Oh, tonight? Oh.
Yeah.
All right. It's probably there then. Okay.
It is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are we ready to go through them?
Go for it, Sandy.
Okay, the first one's the select board. Stipends are increased by 2%. There was a minor increase in the dues and memberships. I imagine it's because of increase in the dues and memberships. So for an overall budget increase, 2% on the salaries, and even though it's a minor $248, 6.78% on expenses. So for a total of 2.74% overall budget increase.
Okay. Any comments? TA?
TA.
Yeah.
So I'm going in departmental order. I hope that's okay with everyone. So the next budget is the Computer Information Technology Services budget. And there is a substantial increase in computer maintenance due to the fact that there are VPN home use computers. This was the first year for those computers. There were laptops that were purchased with CARES Act money, and there were little bits of maintenance and a couple things having to be redone just because it was a brand new thing, and we're not sure if that will continue into the fact that, hopefully COVID will be going away. But the great news is those home computers were purchased with CARES Act money and reimbursed. So there was a little maintenance for that to get them all on board, along with maintenance to secure our security, tighter security, due to the insurance company requiring some of that. So all the computers had to be, the servers had to be maintained in order to have that virus protection. So we expect that that's going to continue on, and so the maintenance has been increased for that. Just with the new police chief and the new town manager coming in, there'll be major maintenances on the computers that have been used by others and now will be used by the new chief and new town manager. So I think it's a good idea to get that increased. I know our finance committee's been after the town to increase their computer maintenance budget. So here it is. And that's really the only increase on this budget.
Okay.
Just a note on that one, just a comment on that particular one. I just want to bring our group back to, this would be a task for the town manager for sure. But this FY22 increase makes sense, but we have that capital item approved at last town meeting about the updates to our IT infrastructure, which would include a lot of this work as well, but we don't have that project kicked off yet or anything else of that nature. So this makes sense making this investment, but we also have that other component that we need to, in my opinion, really make a priority for our town manager, because if you read the local news or the national news today, it's a towns and cities are soft threats at the end of the day for cybersecurity.
Right. So I agree that maintenance that you're talking about, or the project that we're talking about, will include for our IT service provider costs to take care of all of that. These are for incidental going on in the computers in town hall, new ones coming about, needing to be set up, emails and all that other stuff. So so yes, this budget wouldn't be affected by what we're going to do with that IT capital project report expense. So with the hopes that, you know, there's enough budgeted to do all that we're trying to do. So in the capital projects.
Great, thanks, Anna.
You're welcome.
Wow. Okay. Any comments? Any further comments? TA?
Oh, TA.
The next one is building maintenance. So this is basically a level funded budget with the exception of some salaries where a step is being increased for our buildings and grounds procurement officer. We have, we've got a budget in for a 20-hour position to help the buildings and grounds. And that's been budgeted for like 3 years, and we just haven't had that opportunity to get that going. It was once
on that, Sandy, I think the question is, who is he going to report to? Is he going to report to Pat or the highway department? So we got to figure that out.
Well, I think the highway department has decided to get a full-time person, of which they need anyway. I think this is just a 20-hour position. It was going to be split between 2 jobs, but I think with the last budget season, that was taken away. So,
am I able to comment here?
Hey, Pat.
Am I able to comment on that?
Sure.
Of course you are.
So what happened is we had a meeting, myself, John, and Ken, when he was there at the time, and made a decision that John would bring somebody on full time to take care of the transfer station. So that way the person would stay totally with highway to be 20 hours or so with highway and 20 hours or so, whatever works at the transfer station. And then I would bring somebody on part-time for myself, because trying to manage somebody to go back and forth between myself and John was becoming too difficult. Emergencies would arise, so the person wouldn't come and work a day for me, and we'd swap off days, and then we'd have problems with the transfer station. So we had just made it that John would have a full-time person and take care of it that way, and I would bring in a part-time person. And the reason why I haven't brought in somebody lately is just due to the pandemic, to keep the amount of people inside the building as low as possible for the pandemic, that's all.
When things get better, we'll get that in here for you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So is there any more comments on that budget?
Yeah, can I just point out, I think what Pat was trying to say, that this person is not working at the transfer station, he's working on the leaf pile detail. Which, if you recall, back during the fall, we had a lot of issues and complaints about the leaf pile area not being opened enough. So John assigned a person there for more hours. And when he isn't working over there, he's working it with John and some task in the highway department. And as Pat says, now, he had a deal with Ken to just hire a separate person on his own for under 20 hours or whatever it was.
Okay, thanks, John, for clearing that up.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. TA?
Yay.
The next budget's town report. We've been very lucky with the people that have been doing this for our town report for the last 3, 4, 5 years, and they have not increased and kept everything the same for all of that time.
Wow.
I believe they used to be called Excelsior, and I'm not sure if they are still called that. They were part of Crane at one time.
They were called Crane Design Systems, you name it. They got about 6 different names. I think the latest I heard they were Mohawk, so.
So this budget's level funded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so comes Town Hall, Department 196. There's just been a couple changes with this one, and Pat, do you want to explain it? Or do you want me to? Pat?
Yeah, you can go ahead and explain it because we discussed it with the electricity, so.
Right. So this is the year that we are trying to help our budgets out by passing on what we have been able to achieve in credits for net metering credits, along with using the Rockwood AG grid, the anaerobic digester. So the town hall's electricity budget is able to carefully decrease by $5,000, of which we were able to reutilize that savings in other services that were becoming quite close to being overspent more often than not. So we added 4,000 or so in miscellaneous purchase services and 3,000 in building maintenance. As you know, our boilers are needing lots of maintenance, and with that comes maintenance to, Pat, probably you can help me out with that, different things that occur with an aging building. So we...
Yeah, just with the building getting older, the maintenance costs are a little bit higher, and I've been doing a lot more work on repairing a lot of things, and now due to the pandemic, a lot of the building costs have gone up quite a bit, so it's making it more and more difficult to afford things to repair all the things in the buildings.
So basically, with that, savings in electricity and adding budget where we need, the only increase was approximately 2.5% in expenses.
Perfect. TA?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Sandy. Nice job, everyone.
Yeah. Pat, done a great job meeting the challenge of the COVID-19. All the extra you had to do with restructuring meetings, setting up for meetings for special distancing and things of that nature, which brings to my mind another question. Are we going to, this is totally off topic, are we going to have to think about a postponement of the town meeting and the town election again this year?
I hope not.
Right now, we're on schedule, so.
There hasn't been any indications of that happening at this point.
Well, how do we know that?
Right.
Chairman Bishop, may I?
Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
So the numbers in Dalton are really low, like staying at green level. They did bump down into the gray level, but they're, we're not really, we're not seeing an increase, so we're not really in a dangerous zone. So I think the conversation around town meeting we were able to do it safely last time, and it was a lot of work for Pat, and he should get a lot of kudos for making that work. But, you know, as far as postponing it, I mean, we could have that conversation, but none of the trends that we're really seeing are worrisome enough to take drastic measures. In fact, the governor later on this month, I believe on the 22nd, is going to start flirting with even going into phase 4. So just keep that in mind. We'll keep an eye on the, we'll certainly keep an eye on the numbers, and maybe that could be an agenda item or whatever that decision process is going to look like. But, you know, we're actually doing pretty well right now. And, you know, even though it's been really frustrating for people to get vaccinated, you know, our population in Berkshire County that has been vaccinated far exceeds the average in the rest of the state. So, you know, we have to keep that in mind as well.
Well, we'll put that on the agenda for the last Monday of this month, or maybe the second one in April. And what we'll do is there's even talk about having it outside, so out in the parking lot. So a lot of towns have done that in the past. So I think the board should discuss all options on that. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if we can, maybe have Jane bring it back to the Board of Health and have the formal recommendation come forward in time for that meeting.
Huge help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll wait on you, Jane. When you're ready, you let us know.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
My apologies to the board for the diversion from the task at hand.
We need to address these things. Okay, no problem. Okay, Sandy, we're building maintenance.
Yeah, we're on building maintenance. There's a slight increase in toner due to increased cost of toner, computer printing supplies. So with that said, the total expenditures are at $16,500, up $500.
Okay. TA?
TA.
The next budget is the Traffic Commission, and Dan is still here, I believe, and that's totally level funded over fiscal year 21. $1,500. Emergency management. You'll see an increase in the stipend for this. And attached to is a memo from Dan regarding his reasoning for increasing. And are you still here, Dan?
Yes.
Would you like to give your opinion on your EMD stipend?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Dan.
Okay, thank you. This past year has shown an example of what has been going on with the system of how it works, not just with the pandemic, but also with the increased duties required through MEMA and FEMA for reporting, maintenance and monitoring of grants and other work that they are requiring. So based on that, and based on a belief that I have that at some point in time, the town is going to have to consider making the emergency manager a hourly position, possibly, with regular hours during the week. Right now it's a stipend, and I work when I have something to do, which appears to be most every day all the time.
I was going to say it's every day.
But because of that, I've requested a raise in the stipend.
I'll tell you what, I'll support that in a heartbeat because I've seen you in action. I've seen how hard you work. You're just not doing a lot. You're doing a lot of grant work. You're doing a lot with the Traffic Commission. You're over there constantly, Dan, and I totally support this 100%.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, Dan has taken a lot of the responsibility to converse with FEMA and CARES Act hours on end, weeks on end, regarding how we can be reimbursed for the costs that we put aside to be reimbursed for when all those rules changed over and over every single month. for the whole time that we've been able to spend money for a reimbursable grant. So if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be reimbursed by now. I just have to say. So thank you, Dan, for all that work you've done. It's truly appreciated.
We'd be in big trouble in more ways than one without him, let me tell you.
Mr. Chairman, you're probably going to hate this question, but I'll ask it anyways in recognition of the great work Dan's done. Is there any way we can take this suggestion of FY22 and make it retroactive to 21? I don't know if we can do that or not, but I think Dan has been above and beyond.
Sandy, can we do that? Is Bill still on here?
It will have to go to a town meeting vote, I believe. I don't know.
Okay, something to think through. But Dan, again, thank you for the great work and everything you've been doing.
I appreciate the support. Thank you.
Mr. Bishop, I support this. I'm just wondering, Dan can answer this. Is it possible that we could get a reimbursement through the CARES Act or whatever for reimbursement for this, for the work you've done for the COVID stuff?
There is already, we have been reimbursed fully for the amount that I have put in for the work through the CARES Act.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need a motion on this or just a TA?
Oh, Jane Smith wants to say something.
Okay, Jane, go ahead.
Thank you. So if I may, I've worked, oh gosh, I guess I have double raised hands. If I may, at the beginning of this, I just don't think that we knew how much time was going to be spent on this. And so I would, if at all possible, I would love to see Dan get reimbursed for some of the time. I don't think that we have any idea of what he has put himself, his heart and his soul into helping the town of Dalton. And I can't say enough about the work that he's done. And I've worked with a lot of towns, and I've never worked with an emergency manager as dedicated as Dan. So, here.
Okay. Let's explore that option, Sandy.
Okay, we will.
One of the things we could do, I think we're unanimous about this, to getting funds to Dan as a reimbursement for past actions. But I think it would be cumbersome to ask a town meeting to make something retroactive. But we could increase the stipend that's proposed for fiscal 22.
We could do that.
Yeah. How much is it?
It's $6,000 from 25-26.
Why don't we make it 7,000? Then over the years, he'll recoup some of the money for hours he's already spent on a myriad of projects.
It's the board's pleasure.
Is 7 enough?
Well, Mr. Chairman, the request is for 6,000. I don't see why we would increase it arbitrarily with such, it just seems an arbitrary decision. The request is for 6,000.
Okay, let's do the 6,000 and try to explore getting Dan some money back. I think we can do that.
I'm not disagreeing with increasing it necessarily. I just
no, I don't. Yeah.
So we can make mention to that with the Finance Committee, because there are options in May and June to move budgets from one place to another with the Select Board's approval and the Finance Committee's approval.
That's what I'm after.
We could be looking at doing that. That'll be discussion in the Finance Committee meeting.
Okay, let's do that, please.
Okay.
TA?
Okay, TA.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, gentlemen. Sandy, Jane, appreciate everything.
Dan, is that all right with you?
That's fine with me. I think John roughly has a question for you, Mr. Bishop.
No, I don't want to talk to him. How you doing, John?
I'm good. I really just want to second and third and fourth what everybody's been saying. Dan has been amazing, not only with the CARES Act stuff, but all the grants, the Traffic Commission, everything we've been doing. We wouldn't be able to do it without Dan. With Ken gone, Dan has stepped up. 100%. So I just want to throw a shout out to Dan, and anything more you guys give him is much. It's, you know, it'll never be enough. Dan's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Appreciate the comments. And I echo them.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, Sandy, we're down to Berkshire Regional Planning, I do believe.
We are. So this budget actually reduced a little bit. I think it's based on, there are memos attached to your budget, the budget requests. And even though the budget for FY21 was 5518, I know for a fact we paid 5383 for the bill they sent us. So I'm thinking they're just holding that steady for FY22. And the, you know, it's based on the commission's total assessment and a per capita 0.80 multiplied by the most recent census is how we get our assessment from them.
Okay.
TA.
Okay.
TA.
All right.
The next one is unemployment insurance. We have raised this budget due to the fact that a lot of people, even though they were not laid off through the town of Dalton, they may have been laid off from other jobs that they had, and it is in the state law where when an employee works in 2 or 3 different places, those and is laid off and having to collect unemployment, that their places of employment kick in a piece. I don't really understand this law. It's been going on ever since I've been here, and I'm not sure if there's anyone out there who can explain it better than me, because I really disagree the fact that if we didn't lay someone off, why do we have to kick in some of their unemployment? So
does it? No.
No, it doesn't make any sense, but it is happening. So in case there's another little outbreak where, you know, we're all getting back to trying to get back to normal, and if things don't work out, we've raised the budget just in case. So it hasn't been raised in years and years.
I think it's a smart move.
We were very lucky to be able to submit to the CARES Act the unemployment costs that we've paid. So had we not been able to do that, we would have been back to town meeting or reserve fund. Actually, we did get a reserve fund transfer before we knew that unemployment would now be a reimbursable through the CARES Act. But so anyway, this is just a just in case for next year.
Okay, good idea. TA?
TA.
Life insurance has a very minor change, $538. Our life insurance carries forward to our retirees. So therefore then when one retires, it doesn't necessarily go away. They become a retired with insurance. So we are estimating 8 new enrollments for people that have retired and new people coming on board. So that 8 new enrollments adds $1,425 to that budget. Although that's not how much the change is, but. And that's all I have to say, unless anyone has any questions.
Nope, that's good.
TA.
TA.
And the Medicare is based on salary, gross salary. 1.45% is the town's share, and that's simply what this budget is.
That's a TA.
TA.
No.
Yeah.
All right, Sandy, thank you.
Welcome. That's it for the budgets for this time.
Okay. Do you have any inkling of what the tax rate will be at this point?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I do know that we need to get our warrant going for the town meeting. And this is just the actual warrant that gets posted in 5 different places.
Correct.
Has there been any discussion of the need to add anything to the warrant other than what we normally add at the annual town meeting?
At this point, I have nothing unless somebody else does.
Yeah. Well, what about this issue? I just heard this secondhand about what's going on with the request to sell the property to the abutters on U Street. I've been told, or someone told me now it's going to take town meeting action.
Yeah, for the Jordans, is it?
Yes.
Yes, I do believe that has to be a town meeting action. So that is.
Then it's got to be on the warrant.
Right.
Yeah. That'll take about 5 seconds to take care of.
And then the planning board is planning a new bylaw for ADUs, also dwelling units.
I think that there's, so that discussion's coming up, I believe. And there's an assistance grant, I think, application to help develop that language for the town meeting.
Yep.
I'm not sure how that, if that will be at the annual town meeting or if it will be at a special town meeting that we usually have at the end of June. I'm not exactly sure about that.
Well, I'll just, not in my role as planning board, but I would just mention that any bylaw change requires a public hearing. So it's already March 8th. I'm not sure that it'll get done in time for the regular town meeting, I guess, is my sense based on what I can see.
So you think we should just shoot for June, end of June, Dan?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm just saying, you know, when do we have to post the town warrant? What's the deadline?
I do believe 10 days, 2 weeks maybe? I'm not sure. I have to look that up.
I'm pretty sure it's 2 weeks, Sandy.
Yeah. So, you know, it has to be developed, it's got to be posted, it's got to be, you know. So I do have it. It has been updated with the new year information, and it has been, the first 2 articles have been deleted because they had to do with a bylaw change as well, which they're finished, they're all done. But, you know, new things need to get added, and I'm going to need, you know, the help with the language of that. I do believe Joe Bard, who always is the one that's been looking over it.
Can't send it to Joe for review.
He's retiring.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I'm not sure when, but I heard that he was. So we'll have to work on that.
Well, so we'll call Tim.
Yeah, Tim will know who to send it to.
Right.
Bob, if I might say one thing in regard to Dan's point about the time frame for the proposed bylaw. A comprehensive bylaw change should only be brought up at an annual town meeting because of its importance and the opportunity for, well, I don't know during the COVID virus, but the opportunity for the whole community to input into that reform, so to speak. We ran across this with the zoning bylaw, the planning board. I was on the committee regarding the sign bylaw. And we have almost postponed it for a whole year because we wanted to have it at an annual town meeting. I think it's really important. If they can't have it ready for that, perhaps they should hold it over till the next year.
All right, good point, John. Hopefully they'll have it ready for us then.
Yep. But it needs a lot, as Dan says, it requires community input, requires public hearings. There's a whole raft of compliance measures regarding bylaw changes.
All right.
Okay, that's all. That's all I got about the budgets right now.
Okay. Okay, I just got item 11. Becky sent a little note about that today. Let's see, I just got to find it. Okay, she says, "Hi Bob, the DLTA application is complete and submitted. A copy of it is really just correspondence awareness for the select board to understand and know what I applied for. This grant is a yearly thing in Dalton that we apply for. I think the planning board could use the assistance from Berkshire Regional Planning Commission for the new bylaw they want to implement. It will help move things along." Okay, and she says thanks, okay? So that's all I have on that one.
So there is a memo with the application describing the purpose and the funding areas and the project background. So that's the correspondence that went along with that application.
Okay. Okay, we all set on that one? Okay, next one on number 12, our meeting with the Green Committee. John and I met with Joe Fish and Richard Hall. John, you want to spell it out?
Well, Bob, I'm kind of at a loss of what to say here. I thought the meeting went well, and what was suggested is the Green Committee chairman and vice chairman be aware that they are possibly not complying with the open meeting laws in a lot of cases, a lot of documented cases. So they have to be particularly aware of that. And as also pointed out, there was a petition to the select board to dissolve the committee. And I guess Bob and I felt that that may not be necessary. It wasn't the right step to take. And then it was suggested by the chairman of the Green Committee that we send a letter to the Green Committee, not citing individuals, but a general letter to the committee pointing out issues that were brought forward in the petition. And they would make steps to rectify what's considered in some maybe bad behavior, or stepping out of their lane, or whatever the complaints were. I don't have it in front of me right now. And that was pretty much agreed to. And then we also suggested and stipulated that at committee reappointment time, which usually is in the end of June, early July, that we reserve the right to either dissolve the committee, not reappoint some of the members, not reappoint the whole committee, if we're not satisfied with the activities of the Dalton Green Committee in a time frame between now and the end of June. And that's where very congenial. That's where it got left on that Wednesday or whatever it was. And the next day, though, I started receiving emails from the chairman, and he felt that we were being repressive and restricting people's right to free speech and so on and so forth. So, and I took exception to that because that wasn't our tone at all, and I don't believe we were engaged in any constitutional infringements. And I kind of resented being lectured on constitutional law. So as a result, Bob asked me to summarize, because Bob had to leave early, to ask me to summarize what happened at the meeting and what we all talked about. So I did, and I gave it to Bob. And Bob, did that, what I just said, pretty much correspond with...
Absolutely, John. Right on the button.
And And that's, so I don't know, I haven't talked to you about it. I don't know what you think. You know, that was a legitimate summary to the best of my knowledge. And that's where we are.
And we'll open up, we didn't want to write the letter without the board's approval or the board's input. So that's what we're here for. And I think we should write the letter.
That's what I would suggest. And that was suggested by the chairman of the committee. You write us the letter. Be hard on us. Hey, we're big people, we're adults. You got some issues, point them out. But don't attack. It was never our intent to attack any individuals.
No.
No individual. All these complaints, no individual's name has ever been mentioned.
Absolutely.
I want to point that out. In spite of, I won't even say it.
Just let it go, John.
Okay. I'll let it go.
Okay, let's move it.
Okay, I move that we follow the course of action as outlined in our agreement with the chairman and vice chairman of the committee, that we send a letter and indicate our concerns, which we made them pretty clear then, but indicate them. And if we see a dramatic improvement in June, end of June or early July, I can't think of exactly when it is, we make annual appointments, we will reappoint the committee. Or we may only reappoint part of it.
Right, and that'll be in the letter.
That would be spelled out in the letter.
Okay.
And I also said to Bob that, you know, before we move forward on this, we should get the support of the board.
Right.
Hopefully we have it.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second it.
Second.
Okay. A motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Joe?
Wait. What's the purpose of the letter?
Just to remind them, Joe, we're just putting them kind of like on notice, basically.
And outline the concerns that were detailed in the petition and in Bob's interviews.
Joe Fish, when you receive this letter, what's the Green Committee's intent to do anything with that letter? I'm trying to figure out the purpose and the goal, because I'm not sure if it solves the issue or the concern.
Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My intention is to inform each member of the concerns of this committee or this board, and to address that and see if we can move such items into more of a positive direction, and to have better future communications and better movement going forward, instead of having issues or maybe a negative stance of going forward. So that was my intention, is once we find it, once we understand exactly where the board has concerns at, then try to find a positive resolution to solve said issues.
But there's no intention of any department director to collaborate with us, with the Green Committee, to solve those issues. So I'm trying to figure out the purpose, because I don't think this is going to solve the matter. I think it's just going to be a reaction from some members on the Green Committee to respond to that letter and request additional meetings and different things. So I'm not going to support this. What I would support is that we just pause it all together and revisit it at appointment time.
Mr. Bishop?
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I don't have a problem sending a letter. I think this is something we probably should have happened quite a while ago. Send a letter to them with our expectations and our concerns. If this is going to be the first step, I mean, we could have sent this a year ago, I guess. But let's do it. I don't have a problem with sending a letter, calling out what we see as the issues, and then if we can revisit it at reappointment time, if we have to.
So if we can update the letter with just saying pausing committee activities until the new town manager is in place, and we revisit at that point, if we add that to the letter, I would support that. Because I just don't, I believe what's going to be the reaction of some members of that committee is going to be wanting to respond and have conversations with department heads who do not want to engage that committee at this time based upon the petition. I think it's going to lead to additional friction over the next 6-8 weeks.
We also don't have, there's another complication in there too, so I don't want to get into now, but I could go along with that and just pause them and just see where we are come June. I just don't want to throw this in the new town manager's lap.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Joe.
No, Sam, you have a right to say it because,
but
you know.
I mean, we want this positiveness we want positiveness when he comes. So, I mean, if we automatically send him into a dispute that occurred when he's not even here.
It's a no situation.
Right. So.
Yeah, it's something he doesn't have to address for, you know, even a couple months out. I mean, because if we look at the Green Committee purpose, it should be aligned with, you know, educating the town and town strategy and things of that nature. It's something that we can revisit down the road. But I'm just reading the tea leaves. If we send a letter that doesn't have, here's what we're doing, it's going to end up in this cycle of wanting to have conversations with department heads, as Mr. Fish just said, to address those issues and those gaps. But our department heads right now, based upon the petition, have no intention of having that conversation. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. That's the friction point that's going to occur. So
I mean, Joe, you're exactly right. There's a lot of friction out there. I think this letter would attempt to diffuse it somewhat. Not making a problem for the new town manager, possibly resolve the situation by the end of June, or tone it down anyway. And then, if we have to,
well,
follow one of the three options.
Yeah, do we have
you're right about this. A very volatile situation between the existing department heads and the Green Committee.
Do we have, sorry, if we had department head collaboration and commitment to work with the chairman, Mr. Fish, on resolving these issues over these next 6 or 8 weeks, I would be all for that.
Well,
I think that's
okay. This is something I did leave out. That we talked to Mr. Fish, and we suggested that the chairman, Mr. Fish, and the vice chairman, Mr. Richard Hall, be the communicators, the people who communicate with other committees. I knew I'd find it sooner or later. And in that way, it would may possibly reduce friction. And the committee, the Green Committee, simply concentrate on staying within the open meeting law and seeking grants that, or I don't know if that's getting transferred to the BRPC or not. I'm not sure the status of that. But sticking to what their charter was as a Green Committee. Now, I think this letter would probably diffuse both sides somewhat.
John has his hand raised.
Go ahead, John. John Ruffley. Yeah,
I just want to say real quick, as a petitioner, I 100% agree with Mr. Divers' first statement. I think if just, you know, keep the commission there, but put them on pause until the new town manager comes on board and revisit it and go from there. I think that's a great idea. I mean, maybe no need to dissolve right now, but just put them on pause and let's see where things go and go from there. I agree 100%. That's all I have. Thank you.
I just don't want to throw this in the town manager's lap, because if we put them on pause, there's going to be certain members of that committee probably camping out in front of his door before he gets here. And
yeah, I agree. I just think that if you don't put them on pause, this isn't going to end. And,
Yeah, well.
and now everybody's going to be laying on your doorstep. There's got to be a balance somewhere.
I have plenty of room over here, but no.
All right.
If they have a complaint, they should not go to the department heads. My suggestion is, they have a complaint, work through the select board like it's supposed to be, and not give it he said, she said. And I have no problem with them coming to me and say, look, I got a problem with this or that, and that's our job. And there's 5 of us. If I can't do it, there's plenty of other people that can look into things for us. So.
Joe, would you support this if we put a provision in it that they be put on pause or hold or suspension of activities till a given date? Say, whatever the first meeting date is in June? Yeah, that would give the town manager a whole month to settle in. I mean, he's going to be faced with a myriad of problems. And
I would, John, and the Green Committee could do some work on the side as like education and things of that nature, or helping with recycle, whatever the case. There's a lot of things to do without impacting the town, without impacting department heads and things of that nature, and just kind of pause until the new town manager has evaluate whatever that period of time is.
Okay, I'm going to amend my motion to read that the as of today. Amend the motion that as of today, we are suspending the activities of the Green Committee until the first meeting date in June.
I'd second that.
Thank you, Joe.
I just worry about the friction right now if we continue with department heads.
You are absolutely right. It's a tinderbox out there.
There's going to be no more friction between department heads, because if there is friction and they're now working through their vice chair or chair, I will petition to remove them from the committee.
John? I'll be right with you. John Ruffley.
John Ruffley.
You're on mute, John. Try again. Still on mute.
How's that?
Yeah, good.
Just real quick, one more thing. I 100% agree with you. There's just one other thing. By saying that the Green Committee can continue doing some things, they have, a certain member has been reaching out to another group and really not saying good things about the town, and I think that can't happen. They need to know that, like, Berkshire Regional Planning has a really close relationship with the town, and somebody in that group has been reaching out to them and not saying good things. And that needs to stop. They need, if they're going to do educational work, that's one thing, but that has to stop. That's happened recently. I mean, I work with these people. What's that?
Would you please send me the name and I'll take care of it real quick.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
So the motion, just to clarify, the select board is going to write a letter that will detail some of the concerns that were expressed by department heads, as well as some of the observed issues with the Green Committee's behavior, particularly during open public meetings. And then also we're suspending the activity of the committee until the first meeting in June?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. There was just a lot of discussion going on between when the motion was made and seconded, and
hey, it's been a great discussion.
We need your calming effect there, Dan.
Sort it all out.
Now, I asked the board, is the board disposed to be suspended until July, after the reappointment date? I mean, I just picked that tune out of my hat. I mean, I'm not committed to it. I mean, the board thinks it's a better idea to wait till the first meeting in July after we've made reappointments. I'm good with that too.
I would say June and then reevaluate if we need to.
Yeah, that way you can
I think the June timeline was working in my thought process, John. So.
Okay, fine.
Joe, would you be willing to write the letter, because you're very good at that stuff? Oh, you're on the committee, so that wouldn't be smart.
That's okay. I can draft it, and you guys can add to the word. It'll be directed from you, Mr. Chairman, so we can help letter.
Make me look good, please.
On that. Sure. And I'll start a Google Doc on that for the board so that you can see the drafts.
Okay, motion to be made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes.
Bob, yes. Mr. Fish, when you get this letter, if there's any riffraff or anything, anybody's up in the roar, send them my way, please, and nobody else's way.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Sandy, can you inform the committee tomorrow? I know Joe's here, but he's in an unofficial capacity. He's here as a spectator, so to speak. Inform the Green Committee that we have suspended any activities by the Green Committee until the first meeting date in June.
I can try.
Okay.
And please send them my way if there's any comments. Okay. That brings us up to the town manager updates.
I don't have anything to report unless people have questions for me.
No, it's just good to see you back and going at it again, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, items for future agendas. I didn't get the printout from last one, but is there anybody who have anything for upcoming meetings that they want to?
It's been suggested, Bob, we discuss, would you say the last meeting of this month?
I took a bunch off, John. I haven't got to Judy with them yet, so they'll be off on next one, okay? We'll have a revised one for our next Monday's meeting.
Is there a meeting next Monday?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, one of the meetings you suggested that we have a discussion about the potentiality of delaying the town meeting in the election.
Yes, we could do that. Let's see. I don't think it's, at this point, we know enough. I would say towards the end of the month we could.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need to give Board of Health their time to meet about it and give a recommendation.
And does the board need to clarify what we're doing and structure a warrant article regarding this potential property sale to the abutters of the town-owned property on View Street?
John, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Can you help write the language and give it to Sandy to get on the warrant?
Maybe we should have an attorney do it.
Yeah, I mean, work with our attorney, work with Joel, and get the language for the, communicate with Joel and ask him what language we need on that, because he knows about it.
Okay. Yeah, because he's been communicating with Sandy. And,
right.
Becky, yeah,
Sandy's got enough to do it. I'm trying not to throw anything her way.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, John, roughly.
Yeah, real quick, with Sandy's permission, obviously, maybe in the next meeting or two, could we possibly put some Chapter 90 updates and possibly some street improvements on that list?
Chapter 90, John?
Yeah, you know, it doesn't have to be the next meeting, but even the meeting after that, we'll be probably a little more prepared to at least talk about some options.
I'll give you a heads up before we do it. Okay, what's Chapter 90 and what else you want?
That's it. Just the street updates and
I'm sure everybody wants to know when their streets got to get paid. How much money we got for next year?
It's that time of year.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. The remarks of the select board.
Just a quick one, Mr. Chairman. I this morning became aware it's the International Women's Day globally, and I just want to do a shout out for all of our great women leaders in the town. We shouldn't just celebrate them this day, but every day, and especially Sandra and all the great work, and certainly the town planner Becky and many others, and all throughout our community, all of our great teachers and leaders within the district, police officers, firefighters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, thank you. And as I told my wife today, the toughest job as a woman is being a mom. So to all the moms out there, thank you.
Yeah.
Big celebration.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, going back to the agenda thing, I had a discussion the other day with the one of the water commissioners, Cam Cachet, and I guess they are evolving towards a proposal to resolve this ambulance controversy.
Okay.
And I said, well, you got to, well, first of all, you should go and talk to Bob about it, give him an idea of what your thinking is, and then come before the board with a presentation. And he agreed to that. So sometime in the not too distant future, they're going to have a proposal, and the proposal will be on the water district, proposed at the water district town meeting to be voted or not voted into place. So they're just looking for our input and support. And I think they got a good proposal. I just heard the bare outlines of it.
Okay, John, if you want to get a hold of Cam and have him get a hold of me when he's ready, we'll put him on the agenda.
Okay. Yeah. He may want to talk to you first.
Okay, I have no problem. Cause
okay.
I used to see him at the stationery all the time. I don't see him anymore. So.
Yep. Just trying to give you a heads up.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Dan.
I would like to give a big shout out and thank you to everyone who was involved in organizing the swearing in of Chief Deanna Strout last Saturday. It was a great ceremony, and I just wanted to thank the CRA, Becky Whitaker, and whoever else had a hand in putting the event together.
It's quite amazing. Quite amazing. The best part was when I saw somebody's husband salute his wife. I won't forget that for a while.
You should know that picture is framed and in my office. You should all be really happy about that.
Mr. Bishop, I'd like to recuse myself at this time.
Ask your wife.
No comment.
I'm going to come down and see that tomorrow.
It is. Yep. Yeah, it's great.
No, it was good. It was a touching ceremony. It really was. It was just, it was like, here we are, we did it. Okay, so good. We move on. It's a new chapter, so onward and upwards. So we get the town manager in here and well.
And by the way, on 95.9, they were talking about prominent women in Berkshire County. They talked about Stephanie Smith, who's the astronaut about to go to the moon, and then right after that, they said, and the female chief in Dalton.
Wow, nice.
Okay, guys, we got to move along. So we got some more. Okay, I have nothing for the Selectboard Chair updates other than thank you guys for your continued support. All these crazy meetings, all this crazy time we've been putting in. I really appreciate everybody's input. I feel like we're turning the corner here for everything, so onward and upward go. So I got to do my town report. I think I'm going to run out of paper doing that one this year. But other than that, if anybody doesn't have anything else, I'll go to the announcements. The Town Hall, effective 11/16/2020. The Town of Dalton will be closing the Town Hall, Senior Center, and Highway and Cemetery offices to the public. All offices will remain staffed and will be available by phone or email during their normal business hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Please see the Town of Dalton website for departmental information. Transfer station new FY21 prices. The first vehicle is $115. The second vehicle is $40. The bag prices for 30 gallons are $4 for a package of 10, $40. In the 15-gallon bags are $3.30 and a package of 10 is $33. If you need any other information, please go to daltonmass.gov and click on the transfer station button. And just be aware the brush area will close until April 2021 or further notice. A message from our police department. The police department is now open to the public, and please feel free to stop in to see an officer. Social distancing and masks are required, and only 2 people are allowed in the lobby at a time. Oops, I lost my page. The processing of firearms. Firearm permits are processed between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. by appointment only. Please call 413-684-0300 to schedule an appointment. No walk-ins are being accepted at this time. A check of money order for $100 made payable to the Town of Dalton. Renewals over the age 70 are free. Okay, 2020 to 2021 winter parking ban. The Dalton Police Department is reminding the citizens of Dalton of the winter parking ban, which goes into effect on November 15th, 2020, and will be in effect until April 15th, 2021. There is no on-street parking allowed between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. during this time period. The Dalton Library is now open 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday, Thursday, and Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesday, and 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Anyone in a high population may schedule a time in the a.m. to come in by themselves with no questions asked. Lobby pickup continues for anyone who would rather not enter the building. Call 684-6112 for more information. I declare an open meeting may have detrimental effect on negotiation.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn the open session, move to executive session, and not return to open session to conduct the strategy session in preparation for negotiating a police sergeant's contract, health agent job description, and non-union personnel.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Bob, yes. We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll log everybody off and we'll log back on, Sandy, okay?
Yep.
Okay.